फेरि हो हामीले चाहिँ इङ्ग्लिसको सबै पढेर भ्याउँछौँ आज विदिन आई डोन्ट नो कति आवर्स लाउँछ तर तिमीले यो टाइम हेरेर पनि थाहा पाउँछ दसैँ सो हामी फर्स्ट लेसनबाटै स्टार्ट गर्छौँ फर्स्ट लेसन चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि नेबर्स छ नेबर्सको राइटर चाहिँ टिम विन्टन हो यो तिमीले राइटर सम्झ्यौ भने चाहिँ तिमीलाई इनकेस त लङ एन्सरमा 5 मार्क्समा हामी राइटरको नाम लेख्दा हुन्छ नत्र नलेख्दा पनि खासै फरक पर्दैन मेन थिम भनेकै ल्याङ्ग्वेज ब्यारियरले के इफेक्ट गर्दैन सबै कल्चरल डिफरेन्स भए पनि कम्युनिटीमा हार्मोनी हुनसक्छ भन्ने कुरा हो कि कल्चर इन्टिग्रेसन एन्ड कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट द स्टोरी हाइलाइट्स द इनिसियल मिसअन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ एन्ड कल्चरल डिफरेन्सेस द्याट क्यान बी ओभरकम थ्रु सेयर एक्सपिरियन्स एन्ड एक्ट अफ काइन्डनेस लिडिङ टु स्ट्रङ सेन्स अफ कम्युनिटी एन्ड सपोर्ट अनि त्यो पछि एउटा रिपिट भइराख्ने क्वेसन भनेको चाहिँ वाट डज फ्याक्चर डायलग मिन इन द स्टोरी फ्याक्चर डायलग भन्नाले चाहिँ एउटा नेबरहरूले भनेको कुरा कपालले बुझेको थिएन नि त अनि त्यो ल्याङ्ग्वेज ब्यारियर भएको थियो नि त्यसलाई नै फ्याक्चर डायलग भन्यो कि स्टोरीमा द टर्म फ्याक्चर डायलग इन द स्टोरी रिफर्स टु द ब्रोकन information language used by the neighbors of the new couple. Most of the time, these neighbors speak in a way that is not grammatically correct or proper. In winter, the new couple listen to the various stories and become engrossed in their informal conversation. They even join in by shouting along with them. तिमीले चाहिँ बेसिकली के सम्झिन पर्यो भन्दाखेरि यो स्टोरीमा खरमा समरी भनिदिन्छु त्यसपछि हामीले क्वेसन एन्सर गर्दा तिमीलाई सबै याद हुन्छ नेबर्समा चाहिँ एउटा नयाँ कपल हुन्छ के अनि तिनीहरू चाहिँ म्याक्टोरियन फ्यामिलीको साइडमा सिफ्ट भएको हुन्छ अनि तिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ आफ्नो कपलहरू त्यो कपल छ नि तिनीहरू आइडेन्टिफाई नामहरू केही पनि दिएको हुँदैन अथरले किन भन्दाखेरि अथरले चाहिँ यो स्टोरीमा सबैको जनरल भ्यू होस् भनेर चाहन्छ कि कसैको एकैको स्टोरी होस् भनेर चाहँदैन अनि त्यो पछि पनि हेल्प गरिरहेको हुन्छ कि नेबर्सले फेरि कपाललाई कहिले हेलिङ मल्चिङमा हेल्प गर्छ कहिले त्यो क्याबेजको हेड दिएर झन् प्रेग्नेन्सीमा नि त्यस्तै हेल्प गरिरहेको हुन्छ अब हामी क्वेसन एन्सर गर्छौँ त्यति बेला म तिमीलाई सबै क्लियर गरिदिन्छु एकछिन ध्यान दिएर हेर तिमीले सबै बुझ्छ होला फर्स्ट क्वेसन एन्सरमा चाहिँ डिस्क्राइब हाउ यङ कपल्स हाउस लुक लाइक भने यसमा चाहिँ तिमीले मेन सम्झिन पर्ने भनेको चाहिँ स्मल विथ हाई सिलिङ प्लेन विन्डोज फिल्स लाइक एलिगेन्ट कटेज तिनवटा पोइन्ट स्मल विथ हाई सिलिङ प्लेन विन्डोज फिल्स लाइक एलिगेन्ट कटेज कस्तो थियो सानो थियो विन्डोजहरू चाहिँ प्लेन थियो अनि सानो भए पनि एउटा एलिगेन्ट कटेजको फिल दिन्थ्यो के तिमीले यसलाई राम्रो वर्डमा भन्दा चाहिँ The young couple's house was small, but its high ceiling and plain window gave it a feeling of elegant cottage. From his study window, the young man could see out over the tops and used courtyards, the Morton Bay Figs in the park where they walked their dog. Window बाट चाहिँ तिनीहरूले बेफिल्ड्स पार्कमा कसरी वाक गर्थे मोर्टनहरूले तिनीहरूको डग अनि कार्डयार्डहरू सबै देख्न सक्थ्यो नत्र विन्डोबाट रुफटपबाट चाहिँ लाइक तिनीहरूको पार्कको भ्यू देखिन्थ्यो भनेर भन्न मिल्छ तिमीले मेन कुरा भनेको त्यसमा स्मल विथ हाई सिलिङ प्लेन विन्डो एन्ड फिल अफ एलिगेन्ट कटेज हो तिमीले यति मात्र भन्दा नि हुन्छ सो सेकेन्डमा के छ भन्दाखेरि फेरि अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ द टेक्स्ट भनेको चाहिँ एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट हो है यहीबाट धेरै जस्तो म्याक्सिमम आइरहेको हुन्छ हाउ डिड द यङ कपल आइडेन्टिफाई देयर नेबर इन द बिगिनिङ अफ देयर अराइभल uncivilized and annoying. There are two words something about uncivilized and annoying. The young couple identify their neighbors in the beginning of the arrival by the sound of splitting, washing, daybreak watering. सुरुमा चाहिँ एकदम अनसिभिलाइज अनोइङ लागेको हुन्छ तिनीहरूले आफ्नो इभन लाइक कति बेरसम्म त झगडा गरेको सोचेको हुन्छ नेबर्सहरू बोल्दा पनि अनि त्यो कार वासिङदेखि त स्प्लिटिङ तिनीहरूलाई सबै इरिटेटिङ लागेको हुन्छ कि अब चाहिँ हामी सी नम्बर गर्छौँ हाउ डिड द यङ कपल हाउ डिड द नेबर्स हेल्प द यङ कपल इन द किचन गार्डन यसमा तिमीले सम्झिन पर्ने भनेको हिलिङ मल्चिङ एन्ड स्पेसिङ a board of garden clubs. So the neighbor helped the young couple in the kitchen garden by advising them about spacing, healing, mulching, and providing them backfull garden clubs for planting. तिमीले इङ्ग्लिसमा सल्लो भन्नेमा चाहिँ एन्सर लेख्न चाहिँ मिल्दैन हिलिङ स्पेसिङ मल्चिङ चाहिँ सम्झिनै पर्छ अनि त्यसै एडभाइस दिएको गार्लिक कप्सहरू प्लान्ट गर्न नि ब्याग फुल दिएको थियो भन्नु मिल्यो एडभाइस अबाउट हिलिङ मल्चिङ स्पेसिङ अ ब्याग फुल अफ गार्लिक क्लब्स ल अब हामी डीको गर्छौँ Why were the people in the neighborhood surprised at the role of young man and his wife in their family? तिमीले के बुझ्नु पर्यो भन्दाखेरि वाइफ चाहिँ बाहिर गएर काम गर्थ्यो हस्बेन्डले चाहिँ घरमै बसेर थेसिस लेख्थ्यो त्यही भएर द हस्बेन्ड स्टेट एट होम जस्ट अपोजिट देयर कल्चर एन्ड थिङ्किङ नर्मल सोसाइटीमा के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि केटी भित्र बसोस् बरु केटा चाहिँ बाहिर गएर काम गरोस् भन्छ नि यसमा ठ्याक्क अपोजिट भएको हुन्छ कि द नेबर्स इन द story were surprised at the role of young man and his wife because his wife used to do the work in the hospital while he used to live in the house working on his stay sick and cook for his wife when she returned back home. E numbeरमा चाहिँ how did the neighbor respond to woman's pregnancy भन्थ्यो यसमा मेन कुरा भनेको चाहिँ प्रेजेन्स अटेन्सन अनि हेल्प छ अनि त्यो भित्र नि तिमीले डिटेल एन्सर दिन पर्छ यसमा चाहिँ द नेबर्स रिस्पोन्डेड टु द वुमेन्स प्रेग्नेन्सी बाई स्माइलिङ टायरलेसली द म्यान इन द डेली गेभ हर स्मल presents of chocolate and him packets of cigarettes. In the summer, Italian women began to offer names. Greek women stopped the young woman in the street, pulled her skirt off and felt the belly, telling her it would be a goy. By late summer, the woman next door had knitted a baby suit complete with booties and beanie, and police widower next door had almost his 2-car garage. सबले हेल्प गरेको हुन्छ कि कसैले उसलाई स्माइल टायरलेसली गरेर कसैले बेली फिल गरेर गए हुन्छ भन्छ कसैले चक्लेट्स दिन्छ सिगरेट्स दिन्छ एभ्रीवन इज लाइक इन्ग्रोस्ड इन द्याट वाइ डिड द यङ म्यान बिगिन टु विप एट द यङ एन्ड अफ द स्टोरी यहाँ चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि मेन कुरा चाहिँ एक्सपेक्टेसन्स भर्सेस रियालिटी भन्छ कि यङ म्यानले चाहिँ आफ्नो नेबर्सहरूलाई अराइभलमा मन पराएको हुन्न नि त तर त्यही नेबरले पछि गएर हेल्प गरेको हुन्छ इभन त्यो बर्ड्स दिँदा चाहिँ बाहिर बाल्कनी बाहिर हुन्छ नि घर बाहिर बसेर सबले कुरेको हुन्छ कि त्यो अनि जब चाइल्ड स्टार्ट्स क्राइङ everybody is making noise के त्यही भएर the young man begins to weep at the end of the story because he was greatly touched by the help of the neighbor which was not expected by him due to the human feeling of neighbors towards them. यो चाहिँ एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट क्वेसन लाउँछ मलाई चाहिँ वाइ do you think the author did not characterize the person in the story with proper names? मैले तिमीलाई सुरु नि भन्थेँ यो कुनै राम स्यामको स्टोरी होइन कि यो सबैको स्टोरी रिप्रेजेन्ट गरोस् भनेर हो टु रिप्रेजेन्ट द इन्डिभिजुअल एज रोल मोडल टु गेट कनेक्टेड विथ द स्टोरी एज इफ देयर ओन स्टोरी I think the author did not characterize the person in the story with proper name because he wants to generalize the story not to a specific person but also for every person who are culturally and linguistically from different societies. So the writer makes the couple for their universal character and he tries to share his idea that in the neighborhood humanity remains even after having different language and cultural norms. Our reference to context चाहिँ खासै त्यस्तो इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ छैन तर पनि हामी डिस्कस गर्छौँ किन भन्दाखेरि कहिलेकाहीँ जे छोड्छ त्यसले पिर्छ The story shows the linguistic and cultural barriers do not create any obstacle in human relationships. Cite some examples from the story where the neighbors have translated such behaviors. The story shows the humanity and love is one of such feelings that links person. For example, in spite of different language, culture, the neighbors gave him some advice about young couple about healing, spacing, mulching the vegetables in the kitchen garden. Sorry, मैले तिमीलाई reference to the context important हुन्न भने तर यो 5 marks मा आउँछ forgive me for that reference behind the context important नभएको चाहिँ the police which were rebuild the falling hen house of the young couple also did not understand his word. The young couple offered heads of cabbage and took gifts of grapes and fireworks from the neighbors. The neighbors gifted them chocolate, knitted the baby a baby suit when the couples were going to be parents. The last sentence in the story reads, the 20th century Nobel had not prepared him for this. In your view, what are the difference did the young man find in the 20th century Nobel and human relations? 20th century Nobel भनेको चाहिँ त्यसले लेख्न लागेको नोबेल हो. In my view, the young man, as the writer used to think that the people in 20s were selfish and helpless. And his thought became true for some times when he had to just shift it to the new community. The people of this community are noisy and annoying. Even kids have poor sanitization. But when he and his wife needed small help too, the neighbor helped them without saying a word. Yeah, we have counseling each other in needs and sharing happiness with each other touches his heart and proved him wrong. He found a huge difference between his thinking and reality. His thinking changed and he said that the Nobel which he was researching had not prepared him for this. You say, नेपाली saying छ नि नेपाली saying छ भन्नु I was sorry अब इङ्ग्लिस पढ्दै केही हुँदैन के को सरी हो र त्यो तिमीहरूलाई सुनेकै होला त्यो छिमेकी भनेको मर्दाको मलामी बिहेको जन्ती हो कि के हो छ कि त्यस्तै आफै बुझ है त्यस्तै नै इङ्ग्लिसमा कन्भर्ट गर्दा चाहिँ नेबर्स आर द कम्पेनियन्स for wedding procession as well as funeral procession. Thus the flow was applied in the story भने यसमा चाहिँ तिमीले कसरी नेबर्सहरूले हेल्प गर्यो त्यो मेन्सन गर्न पर्यो कि यस द नेबर एप्लाई यस भनेर स्टार्ट गर्न पर्छ है सधैँ यस्तो तिमीलाई यो यस कि नो भनेको क्वेसनमा तिमीले त घुमाइ फिराइ लास्टमा भन्ने होइन फर्स्ट वर्ड शुड बी यस अर नो. Yes, the proverb applies in the story. Neighbors are the real companions of life who keep passing on their lives with us on various situations. Neighbors are needed for every step of life, no matter joy or sorrow. They are companion for wedding procession as well as funeral processions. In this story, we find the neighbors who are sharing and caring. These neighbors help during pregnancy and other small acts too. Thus, the neighbors in the story are seen as the best companions as mentioned in the proverb. अब चाहिँ हामी लास्टवाला पढ्दैछौँ. The author has dealt with an issue of multiculturalism in the story. Do you think multiculturalism has become a major issue in this world? Multiculturalism has become a major issue in the present world because along with making people of different ethnic and cultural backgrounds together, it invites various social problems such as failure to assimilate and high crime rates. Migration is another reason for multiculturalism. People travel across different places to get better facilities. Due to this, many people in this neighborhood don't know each other and lack relation, love, compassion. In this way, multiculturalism has become a major issue in the present world. So, तिमीले हामी सम्झिन पर्ने क्यारेक्टर भनेको चाहिँ मैकेडोनियन फ्यामिली न्यूली म्यारिड कपल र पोलिस विडोवर हो द ओल्ड पोलिस विडोवर. अनि हाल चाहिँ केमा गरेको थियो भन्दाखेरि द किचन गार्डनमा गरेको थियो, हेन हाउसमा गरेको थियो, प्रेग्नेन्सीमा गरेको थियो. अब चाहिँ म तिमीहरूलाई यो लेसनबाट ओल्ड इज गोल्डमा के क्वेसन आएको थियो त्यो खरेर भनिदिन्छु. Narrate the story, the neighbor in short bunny. Team Winter's Neighbor is a story about young couple married who moved into a suburb filled with European migrants. At first, they feel uncomfortable and disturbed by their neighbors' strange language, habits, and lifestyle. The neighbor also criticizes the couple as the wife works while the husband stays at home. However, when the wife becomes pregnant, neighbors shows kindness and care, bring them gifts, offer advice, and support the couple. When the baby is born, everyone celebrates together. In the end, couple realizes that despite culture and linguistic barrier, the love and humanity brings people together. So basically, मैले के बोले भन्दाखेरि यो स्टोरी चाहिँ एउटा यङ कपलको बारेमा हो कि जो युरोपियन माइग्रेट्सको बिचमा गएर बस्छ र त्यहाँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज ब्यारियर हुन्छ र तिनीहरूलाई अनवेलकम फिल भएको हुन्छ, अनकम्फर्टेबल फिल भएको हुन्छ किनकि त्यहाँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज ब्यारियर, लाइफस्टाइल ब्यारियर, ह्याबिट ब्यारियर हुन्छ. द नेबरले पनि आफ्नो छिमेकी यङ कपललाई धेरै क्रिटिसाइज गरेको हुन्छ. ल यसको त बुढा बाहिर जाँदैन, घरमै बसेर काम गर्छ, बुढी भने बाहिर जान्छ, कस्तो घर खानदान हो यो भनेर. तर जति बेला हेल्प चाहिएको हुन्छ नि त्यति बेला नेबर्सले हेल्प गर्छ र स्पेसली प्रेग्नेन्ट हुँदा त तिनीहरूले गिफ्ट अफर गर्ने, एडभाइस दिने र यङ कपललाई सपोर्ट गर्छ र एट दि एन्ड कपल रियलाइजेस despite culture and linguistic barrier, love and humanity bring people together. यो main theme of the poem पनि हो. Despite culture and linguistic barrier, love and humanity bring people together. अब चाहिँ नेक्स्ट स्टोरी चाहिँ रेस्पेक्टेबल वुमेन छ. यसमा तिमीले सम्झिन पर्ने क्यारेक्टर्स भनेको चाहिँ ग्यास्टन बर्डा, मिसेस बर्डा अनि गभर्नेल हो. अनि केट चोपिङ चाहिँ यसको राइटर हो. मेन मेसेज थिम भनेको चाहिँ स्टोरीको के हो भन्दाखेरि inner conflict and self-discovery. Mrs. Borda experiences inner turmoil as she grapples with unexpected feelings for Governor, leading to the journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Mrs. Bordaलाई चाहिँ आफ्नो बुढाको साथी मन परेको हुन्छ र त्यति बेला चाहिँ उसले रेस्पेक्टेबल वुमेन हुने कि नाइ भनेर सोचेको हुन्छ. किन भन्दाखेरि आफ्नो साथीको बुढा मन पराउनु भनेको त सोसाइटल नर्मलाई एउटा च्यालेन्ज हो. द स्टोरी सब्स्टिट्युटली क्रिटिसाइजेस द सोसाइटल नर्म्स कन्सर्निङ म्याच्योर fertility and the role of women in the society, highlighting Mrs. Borda's autonomy in managing her feelings and relationships, transformation and resolution. The narrative emphasizes transformation as Mrs. Borda evolves from feeling disturbed by her emotions to understanding and managing them responsibly, ultimately finding peace in her decisions. मेन कुरा भनेको चाहिँ यो स्टोरीमा के देखाउन खोजेको भन्दाखेरि एउटा वुमेनको डिजायर भर्सेस उसको डिसिप्लिन। कुनै पनि मान्छेले कसैलाई डिजायर गर्दैमा के आफ्नो कर्तव्य दायित्व छोड्नुपर्छ त भन्ने कुरा हो। यो स्टोरीको राइटर हो केट चोपिङ। त मैले तिमीलाई पहिला नै भनिसकेँ र यहाँ मेन क्यारेक्टर को हो रे ग्यास्टन बरोडा, मिसेस बरोडा, गभर्नेल। गभर्नेल चाहिँ ग्यास्टन बरोडाको फ्रेन्ड हो भने मिसेस बरोडा चाहिँ ग्यास्टन बरोडाकै बुढी हो। समरीमा तिमीलाई ठप्प केही थाहा छैन भने भन्दा चाहिँ ग्यास्टन बरोडाको साथी मिसेस बरोडा र ग्यास्टन बरोडाको टाइम हिन्डर गर्न भन्दा पनि उनीहरूले फ्री टाइम आफैमा स्पेन्ड गर्छु भन्दा पनि ऊ आएको हुन्छ छुट्टीको बेला अनि उसलाई चाहिँ सुरुमा मिसेस बरोडालाई त मन पर्दैन अनि पछि उसले फिलिङ गेन गर्छ त्यही केटाको लागि। अब क्वेसन एन्सर गर्दै चाहिँ तिमी त्यस स्टोरीको बारेमा अझ क्लियर हुन्छ। Why was Mrs. Boroda unhappy with the information about Gobernel's friend visit to their farm? मेन कुरा के हो भन्दाखेरि त्यो कुरा चाहिँ अपोजिट टु देयर प्लान भयो के उसले के सोचेको थियो भन्दाखेरि आफ्नो हस्बेन्डसित अनडिस्टर्ब टाइम स्पेन्ड गर्छु भनेर, तर त्यति बेला उसको हस्बेन्डको साथी आएर त्यो टाइम डिस्टर्ब हुने भयो भनेर उसलाई चाहिँ त्यो कुरा मन परेको हुँदैन। Mrs. Boroda was unhappy with information on her husband's friend Gobernel's visit to their farm because she was looking forward to period of unbroken rest and now undisturbed TT with her husband. How was Gobernel different from Mrs. Boroda's expectation? Mrs. Borodaले चाहिँ गभर्नेललाई कस्तो इमेजिन गरेको हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि tall, slim, cynical with eyeglasses and his hands in the pocket. While he was different from his expectation. He was slim enough but was not very tall nor very cynical. Neither did he wear sunglasses nor carry his hand in the pocket. उसले चाहिँ मिसेस बरोडाले चाहिँ कस्तो इमेजिन गरेको हुन्छ गभर्नेललाई लामो हुन्छ, स्लिम हुन्छ, सिनिकल हुन्छ, आई ग्लासेस लगाएको हुन्छ, टट्ट परेको हुन्छ। तर गभर्नेल त्यस्तो स्लिम पनि हुँदैन, टल पनि हुँदैन, सिनिकल पनि हुँदैन, उसले चस्मा पनि लाउँदैन, नर ह्याड हिज ह्यान्ड इन द पकेट। उसले जे सोच्यो त्यसकै अपोजिट हुन्छ। के हुँदैन रे, टल पनि हुँदैन, स्लिम पनि हुँदैन, सिनिकल पनि हुँदैन, ह्यान्ड्स पकेटमा नि हुँदैन। How does Mrs. Boroda compare Gobernel with her husband? Mrs. Borodaको हस्बेन्ड चाहिँ फ्र्याङ्क हुन्छ। While Mrs. Borodaलाई ग्यास्टन चाहिँ एकदम रिजर्भ मान्छे जस्तो लाउँछ। Mrs. Boroda compares Gobernel with her husband by their frankness. Mrs. Boroda finds her husband frank and chatty, while the Gobernel was not frank. He was quite a silent person. Extrovert versus introvert type ko, okay? Why and how did Mrs. Boroda try to change Gobernel's solitary habit? Mrs. Boroda चाहिँ एउटा फ्र्याङ्क वुमेन हुन्छ अनि उसलाई चाहिँ गभर्नेललाई घरमा वेलकम फिल गराउन मन लागेको हुन्छ, त्यही भएर उसँग गएर फिसिङ लिएर गएर कहिले के गरेर उसलाई चाहिँ इन्भल्भ गराउन खोजेको हुन्छ, तर उसलाई चाहिँ एकदम अकर्ड लाउँछ कि गभर्नेल। Mrs. Boroda was frank woman and wanted Gobernel to be frank and chatty, demanding to make him feel at home. She tried to change the Gobernel's solitary habits by being frank, offering worldly hospitality. How does Caxton disagree with his wife on Gobernel's character? वाइफले डिस्क्राइब गरेको गभर्नेलको क्यारेक्टर र क्याक्सनले आफ्नो साथीको क्यारेक्टर ट्याक्क अपोजिट भन्छ। कसरी? क्याक्सनलाई चाहिँ आफ्नो साथी काममा बिजी भएको जस्तो लाउँछ भने मिसेस बरोडालाई चाहिँ अकर्ड नबोल्ने हो जस्तो लाउँछ के। मिसेस बरोडा वाज टकिङ गभर्नेल seriously, while Caxton disagrees with his wife and on Gobernel's character by saying that Gobernel gave no trouble to her and did not like commotion. Why is Caxton surprised with this frustration toward the end of the story? Mrs. Boroda चाहिँ त्यहाँ हुने चाहिँ अब म यो घरमा नि बस्दिनँ भनेर जान्छ। तपाईँ फेरि त आएपछि नि 1-2 महिना नि फेरि बोलाउनेहरू मेरो साथी आउँछु भने भन्दा नल्याइज तेरो साथी भन्छ, तर लास्टमा सी वेलकम्स हिम, त्यो साथी ल्याउने भए ल्याए हुन्छ भन्छ। अनि त्यति बेला चाहिँ क्याक्सन पनि सरप्राइज हुन्छ त्यो कुरामा। क्याक्सन इज सरप्राइज विथ हिज वाइफ सस्पेशन टुवर्ड्स the end of the story because she never liked the arrival of Gobernel, but at the end of the story she boldly proposed from herself to have Gobernel visit them again. अब हामी reference to the context पढ्छौँ, यो चाहिँ 5 मार्क्समा आउन सक्छ, त्यो ध्यान दिएर सुन ल। What is the cause of conflict in Mrs. Boroda's mind? What role does Mrs. Boroda, being a respectable woman, play in the story? यसको मेन कुरा चाहिँ यो क्वेसनको एन्सरमा डिसिप्लिन भर्सेस डिजायर आउनुपर्छ। द कज अफ कन्फ्लिक्ट इन मिसेस बरोडा's mind is her attraction towards Gobernel and the fear of society. Being a respectable woman, Mrs. Boyada controls her feeling and lets the societal norm win. So she was attracted to her husband's friend. फ्रेन्डको स्पेलिङ बिग्रिरह तिमी पनि यो सानो स्पेलिङहरू बिग्रिन्छ भनेर ध्यान दिनुपर्छ एक्जाममा गभर्नर she wanted to touch his face lips with her sensitive fingers but she does not do that and controls herself being a respectable woman Mrs. Barodaलाई चाहिँ एट्र्याक्सन फिल भएको हुन्छ गभर्नरसँग तर सोसाइटीले के भन्ला सोसाइटीको डर हुन्छ किनकि उसको पहिलो हस्बेन्ड छ र हस्बेन्डको साथीलाई हेर्नु भनेको सोसाइटीमा नराम्रो कुरा हो शी हेज टु कन्ट्रोल हर फिलिङ एन्ड लेट द सोसाइटल नर्म्स विन उसलाई चाहिँ आफ्नो साथी नै होइन अझ आफ्नो बुढाको साथीको ओठ छुन मन लाउने हात छुन मन लाउने फेस छुन मन लाउने हुन्छ तर शी डज नट डु द्याट शी हेज सेल्फ कन्ट्रोल एज अ रेस्पेक्टेबल वुमन Sketch the character of Gobernil and contrast it with the Gaston. Gobernil is Mr. Baroda's college friend who came to spend a week or two in his friend's sugar plantation. Gobernil is a slim and attractive man. He does not wear eyeglasses and is so lovable and inoffensive. He's a silent guy and loves peace. He's neither frank nor chatty. He loves to sit on the portico and enjoy cool air with cigarette. He accepts what Mrs. Baroda and Mr. Baroda or Mr. Baroda and Mrs. Baroda or generally Baroda's couple gives and does not give out anything. Some characters of Mrs. Baroda and his friend Gobernil are just opposites as Mr. Baroda is frank and chatty but Gobernil is too silent. Gobernil smokes but Mr. Baroda does not. It can be said that Mr. Baroda is extrovert and more sociable man in contrast to Gobernil is introvert and less sociable man. Why does Mr. Baroda not disclose her feelings towards Gobernil to her husband? To maintain their relationship alive, to maintain and be a respectable woman. अब उसले आफ्नो फिलिङ्स हस्बेन्डलाई भन्यो भने त रिलेसनसिप गइहाल्यो नि कुन चाहिँ हस्बेन्डले आफ्नो वाइफले आफ्नै साथी मन पराओस् भन्ने चाहन्छ त There are some battles in life which a human being must fight alone. Mrs. Baroda was a respectable woman, but if she discloses her feelings towards Gobernil to her husband, it may cause a serious problem in her relationship. A husband never likes his wife being attracted to another man. Many husbands have given divorce to their wives after knowing that they are attracted towards other man. Moreover, if she reveals her feeling, the friendship of Baroda and Gobernil may weaken. It is why Mrs. Baroda does not disclose her feeling towards Gobernil to her husband. The last three sentences of the story bring kind of twist. After reading these three sentences, how would you analyze Mrs. Baroda's attitude toward Gobernil? The last three sentences of the story bring a kind of twist. Mrs. Baroda liked Gobernil, but due to fear of society and fear of loss of this respect, she does not want Gobernil to come in their house. But at last, she proposed boldly from herself to have Gobernil visit them again. She said to her husband, I have to overcome everything. Mrs. Baroda has overcome the fear of society and will not control herself with the flow of emotion. I think she will do everything with her heart she wants to do with Gobernil, as she says she will become nice to them. But in another point of view, we can say that she has overcome her feelings and emotion towards Gobernil and become normal to him. Last sentence ले चाहिँ दुईटा कुरा प्रपोज गर्छ के एउटा चाहिँ त्यो मुभ डाउन भएर त्यसले अब कसैको डर मान्नु पर्दैन शी क्यान बी रेस्पेक्टेबल वुमन अर्को कुरा चाहिँ शी वुड जस्ट फलो हर हार्ट नि त मन पर्यो त पर्यो अघि चाहिँ मैले नेबर्सको एउटा क्वेसन छुटाएर चाहिँ आइएम सो सरी हाउ डज यङ म्यान expressed regret at the end of the story. The young man expressed regret at the end of the story because he was greatly touched by the help of the neighbor, which was not expected by him due to the human feeling of the neighbors towards them. Describe Mrs. Baroda's attachment to the Gobernil when they are alone at the night. तिमीले alone at the night को सीन थाहा छैन भन्दा चाहिँ Gobernilले सिगरेट खाँदै बसेको हुन्छ त्यहाँ Mrs. Baroda जान्छ Gobernilले त्यसलाई Mr. Barodaले दिएको स्कार्फ नि दिन्छ त्यति बेला Mrs. Barodaलाई she wants to kiss him, touch him, बाला फिलिङ्स आउँछ अनि Mrs. बरोडालाई त्यस्तो हुँदा ऊ छिटो जान खोज्छ अनि मिस्टर बरोडाले चाहिँ पोएट्री भनेको हुन्छ नाइटको बारेमा अब इङ्ग्लिसमा भन्नुपर्छ एन्ड तिमीले नेपालीमा लेखेर हुँदैन एन्ड द स्टोरी अफ द respectable woman when Mrs. Bird and Governor are alone at night she felt a sudden emotional and physical attraction towards him. His quiet and calm nature fascinated her, and for a moment she felt an impulse to touch him, lean toward him, but she controlled herself, realizing that such feelings were improper. She quickly left the place. This scene shows her inner conflict between desire and social morality. You say, exam आएको question हो. How does Caxton describe with his wife on Gobnell? I disagree with his wife on Gobnell's character. मैले यो तिमीलाई पहिला नि भन्थे. Mrs. Berda was taking Gobnell very seriously. Caxton disagrees with his wife on Gobnell's character by saying that Gobnell gave no trouble to her and did not like commotion. A Devoted Son यसको राइटर चाहिँ अनिता देसाई हो. यसमा भएको क्यारेक्टरहरू चाहिँ राकेश, वीणा, मिस्टर बर्मा, मिसेस बर्मा, मिस्टर भाटिया हो. राकेश चाहिँ यहाँको मेन क्यारेक्टर हो. द डिभोटेड सन जसको नाम द स्टोरी हो त्यो राकेश नै हो. हि इज अ रेस्पोन्सिबल डक्टर. बेना चाहिँ राकेशको वाइफ हो. सी इज अनएजुकेटेड सिम्पल भिलेज गर्ल. मिस्टर बर्मा चाहिँ राकेशको फादर हो. उसले चाहिँ क्यारोसिन बेच्थ्यो अनि ऊ चाहिँ एकदम हार्डवर्किङ मान्छे हो जो चाहिँ आफ्नो सनसँगको प्रोग्रेसबाट प्राउड छ. मिसेस वर्मा चाहिँ राकेशको फादर मिस्टर वर्माको वाइफ हो अनि सी इज अ नर्मल हाउस वाइफ. मिस्टर भाटिया चाहिँ वर्माको साथी हो, द नेक्स्ट डोर नेबर and the best friend of Mr. Burma, who shares his joy and sorrow with him. A Devoted Son is a realistic story set in a middle-class Indian family. The story shows how parents cherish their ambition towards their children and shows how a son should fulfill his duty towards the parents. Rakesh's neighbors gathered together to celebrate because Rakesh has gotten higher mark in the medical exam and was able to go to the United States to make for more study there. After studying in the United States, Rakesh returned back to India to serve his parents and nation. Rakesh's mother dies and his father gets sick. Their relationship becomes tense as a result. Rakesh is a son and a doctor. He fulfills both roles as far as he could. Mr. Burma passes away. सर्टमा भन्दा चाहिँ राकेशको स्टोरी चाहिँ एउटा रियलिस्टिक इन्डियन फ्यामिलीको स्टोरी हो जसमा चाहिँ राकेशले मेडिकल एक्जाम टप गर्छ अनि त्यो कुरा चाहिँ एकदम ठुलो कुरा हुन्छ त्यसको फ्यामिलीमा किन भन्दाखेरि कोही पनि एजुकेटेड हुन्न र फर्स्ट पर्सन एजुकेटेड भएकोले मेडिकल एक्जाम नै टप गरिदिन्छ. उसको फादर एउटा सिम्पल क्यारोसिन सेलर हुन्छ र फ्यामिलीको सबैले एकदम हार्डवर्किङ गरेर उसलाई पढाएको हुन्छ र ऊ चाहिँ स्कलरसिपमा युनाइटेड स्टेट्स जान पाउँछ फर्दर स्टडीको लागि. ऊ त्यहाँ पढेर पनि फेरि फिर्ता आउँछ नेपालमा भन्दा नेपाली पढाउला नि इन्डियामा अनि आफ्नो प्यारेन्ट्सलाई सर्भ गर्छ अनि आफ्नै प्यारेन्ट्सले भनेको केटीसँग गाउँको केटीसँग बिहा गर्छ सिम्पलसँग ताकि त्यो केटीले पनि आफ्नो प्यारेन्ट्सलाई सर्भ गर्न सकोस्. अनि राकेशको मम्मी मरेपछि फादर चाहिँ एकदम सिक हुन्छ, डिप्रेस्ड हुन्छ. हि इज लाइक ट्राइङ टु सर्भ हिज फादर तर उसले आफ्नो फादरलाई चाहेको कुरा चाहिँ केही खान दिँदैन. द फादर वान्ट्स टु डाई होइन. अनि एक दिन चाहिँ ऊ मर्छ पनि तर राकेशले चाहिँ उसले के सोचेको भन्दाखेरि उसले आफ्नो डक्टर र सनको दुइटैको जिम्मेवारी निभाऊ भन्ने चाहिँ राकेशको माइन्डसेट हुन्छ तर उसले चाहिँ एउटा एन्टी हिरोको रोल पनि प्ले गरेको हुन्छ सनको रूपमा. How did morning paper bring an ambience of celebration to Burma family? The morning papers brought an ambience of celebration in the Burma family. At its source, the Rakesh had topped the medical examination and it was matter of pride for the family. How did the community celebrate Rakesh's success? The community people celebrated Rakesh's success by visiting his yellow house at the end of the road. There, they congratulate Rakesh's parents on their son's remarkable success and congratulate Rakesh himself. The whole house and the garden was quickly filled with sights and sounds of the festival with beautiful garlands, party clothes and gifts. Why was Rakesh's success a matter of discussion in the neighborhood? Rakesh's success was matter of discussion in the neighborhood because he was first son in the family to receive education. His parents had spent so much in order to send him to school and then medical college. It was matter of pride for the family as well as the neighbors. Rakesh is an exemplary behavior that he touches the feet of his father as soon as he saw the results and made Rakesh's success a very special matter and of discussion in the neighborhood. Why does author make fun of the words America and the USA? Authorलाई चाहिँ राकेशको फादरले चाहिँ के सोच्छ भन्दाखेरि युनाइटेड स्टेट्स चाहिँ एजुकेटेडले भन्छ, अमेरिका चाहिँ अनएजुकेटेडले भन्छ अरे के एउटै ठाउँ हुँदा पनि युनाइटेड स्टेट्स चाहिँ राम्रो ठाउँ अरे, अमेरिका चाहिँ नराम्रो ठाउँ अरे। हिपोक्रेसी हेर न। Rakesh had won a scholarship in USA and his father learned it to be called the USA and taught the whole family not to say it as America. And it was a trump to say America by ignorant neighbors. In this way, author makes fun of the word America and the USA. How does author characterize Rakesh's wife? The author characterized Rakesh's wife as an uneducated, old-fashioned plum girl. She was placid, compassionate, and lazy, but too good in nature and pretty fat one. Describe Rakesh's rise in career. After completing his medical education, he started his career as doctor in the city hospital and quickly rose to the top of the administrative organization and was made a director. Then he opened his own private clinic and become known not only as the best but the richest doctor in the city. उजे एजुकेसन युएसएबाट गरेपछि फिर्ता आउँछ अनि उसको काम गरिरहेकोमा चाहिँ उसलाई टप डाइरेक्टर बनाएको हुन्छ। त्यसपछि उसले प्राइभेट क्लिनिक खोल्छ र ऊ रिचेस्ट मात्र होइन बेस्ट डक्टर पनि हो। हाउ डज अथर डिस्क्राइब राकेश फ्यामिली ब्याकग्राउन्ड? राकेशको फ्यामिली ब्याकग्राउन्ड चाहिँ एकदम पोर थियो अरे के। राकेश वाज फ्रम अ पोर फ्यामिली हु लिभड in the village in India. His father worked as a kerosene vendor and his mom spent her life in the kitchen. His grandparents also used to work as vegetable vendors. Despite from a poor economic condition, his parents worked hard and sacrificed everything they had for higher education and medical college of his son Rakesh. Rakeshको family background चाहिँ poor थियो। उसको father क्यारोसिन सेलर थियो भने ग्रान्डफादर्सहरू भेजिटेबल सेलर थियो। तर पनि उसको इकोनोमिक ब्याकग्राउन्ड नराम्रो हुँदा हुँदा पनि उसको एजुकेसनको लागि सबै कुरा सेक्रिफाइस गरेको हुन्छ र त्यो वर्दी पनि हुन्छ। What is the impact of Rakesh's mother death on his father? Rakesh's father was broken into pieces by the death of his wife. He fell ill so frequently and suffered with such mysterious disease called named PB swim, sudden irritation in mind, even his son could no longer make it out. What did Rakesh do to make his father is more comfortable? Rakesh used to bring his father his morning tea in the old man's favorite bar stumble and sat at the edge of the bed, comfortable, relaxed with his father's nightshirt and read out the morning news for him. He used to help his father down the steps and onto the bed and sewed the thing for him and slept laying down for him at the night under the stars. Why did the old man try to bribe his children? The old man tried to bribe his children in order to buy sweets and jalebis from the shop of the crossroads. किन भन्दाखेरि उसको सनले चाहिँ उसलाई केही पनि खान दिएको हुन्न र ऊ आत्तिसकेको हुन्छ। Are Mr. Burma's complaint about his diet reasonable? How? I don't think Mr. Burma's complaint about his diet are reasonable. His son had made a diet for him so that he could live a healthy life. Rakesh, being a responsible son and doctor too, cannot allow his father to risk his life by eating unnecessary food and sweets. Rakesh did so he did not want to lose his father and he had already lost his mother. Thus Rakesh, Mr. Burma's complaint about his diet were not reasonable. Reference to the context. How did Burma couple sacrifice for their son's higher education? Mr. Burma being a worker in the kerosene dealer depot and Mrs. Burma being a housewife doing household things have done and made a lot of sacrifice for their son's higher education. Mr. Burma had never seen how school looks like from inside, he had never gone to study. So he wanted to fulfill his dream from his son and had sent Rakesh to the school for quality education. Rakesh was the first son in the family to receive education. Thus, Burma couple worked hard and sacrificed their time, life, money, and everything they have for their higher education and medical college of son for betterment of his future. Mr. Burma suffered from a disease one after another after his wife's death. Would he have enjoyed better life if she had not died before him? Give reasons. यसमा चाहिँ तिमीले I think yes भन्दा पनि सुरुमै yes ले भनेर भन्नुहुन्छ. Yes, I think he would have enjoyed better life, better health if she had not died before him. She had fell ill as soon as his wife died. Before the death of his wife, he was enjoying his life with no mental harassment, but after the death of his wife, he started being in depression and many other mental conditions. He was broken mentally as well as physically. It is usual too, because when a person with whom you have spent the whole decade, whole life, and become part of your life, and they leave you permanently, it is obvious that you get a shock. Thus, if she had not died before him, he would have enjoyed better health. Dr. Rakesh is divided between a son and a doctor. As a son, he loves his father and worries about his weakening health, but as a doctor, he is stubborn. His father died and medicine. In your views, what else could Rakesh have done to make his father's final year more comfortable? With no doubt, Rakesh is a good son and a good inspiring doctor. Though he did remain devoted to his father, actually he's divided between a doctor and a son. In my view, Rakesh could have been more polite and respectful in his behavior with his father in the final year. He could have let his father take a few bites and lead and give him some independence and freedom, because it is the years where parents feel like they are being left behind. Rakesh could have also given his father more personal space and let him dictate how and when his son helped him. His loud speaking made him father very troublesome and miserable. So if he had spoken to his father politely and in a respectful way, he could have made his final year more comfortable. What does the story say about the relationship between father and grandfather? In the story, a devoted son, or Desai's story, the devoted son, shows a loving compassion between grandfather and grandchildren. There is an unbreakable bond between them. Having a close relationship, once the grandfather tried to bribe his grandchildren to bring him jalebis for him. He used the innocent and mean nature of small kid for his own benefit. Though he loved his grandchildren very much, but due to his meanness, he tried to show his grandson the wrong path. For that reason, the relationship between grandfather and grandchildren was found to be innocent, tricky, trusty, and bonding in the story. Important भनेको tricky, trusty, bonding in the story. अब के तिमीले राकेशलाई एउटा devoted son भन्न सक्छौ त? Yes. I call Rakesh a devoted son. He always did whatever his parents advised him or wanted him to do. Like good academic performance, crucial part of a boy's life which is marriage and choosing the one to get back to his own nation and live with his family, though he could have earned a lot of more money living in the USA. Though Rakesh stuck at some part of giving his father a happy life, but he had tried his best. He always used to separate time for his old father despite him being busy in his professional life. He never wanted his father to suffer. Hence, I think Rakesh is a devoted son in the sense that he is able to put his own wishes aside from the betterment. What is a coincidence that Mr. Burma fell as sick as soon as the retirement and death of his wife gave opinions? मजाले extra question गर्दै हो old school मा पढ्कोहरु. Rakesh's father was broken into pieces by the death of his wife. He fell ill so frequently and suffered with such mysterious state named Peviswim, sudden irritation in the brain, and that even his son could no longer make it out. How does the author make fun of the word America and USA? तो इग्नाइ रुलिनले चाहिँ अमेरिका भन्छ रे, राम्रो पढेकोले चाहिँ युएसए भन्छ भने राकेशको फादरले भन्छ भने मैले यो पनि भन्दै थिएँ, तिमी पनि सम्झियो. इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ म रिपोर्ट गरिदिन्छु होली स्कुलमा गएको. Why was Rakesh's success a matter of discussion in the neighborhood? उसको फ्यामिलीमा पहिले मान्छे हो एजुकेसन पाएको र उसले टप गर्यो र यो चाहिँ नेबरहुडको लागि नै प्राउड मोमेन्ट भएको थियो, त्यही भएर चाहिँ यो एकदम स्पेशल मोमेन्ट अफ द सेलिब्रेसन हुन्छ अनि डिस्कसन. Describe the environment of celebration on Rakesh's success, the devoted son. A community people celebrated Rakesh's success by visiting his yellow house at the end of the road. There they congratulate Rakesh's parents on their son's remarkable success and congratulate Rakesh himself. The whole house and the garden was quickly filled with sights and sounds of the festival with beautiful garlands, party clothes and gifts. Rakeshको house नै decorated हुन्छ at the end of the road. They congratulate Rakeshको parents अनि राकेशलाई पनि the house पनि मान्छेहरूसँग filled हुन्छ, एउटा फेस्टिभल टाइपको हुन्छ कि गार्डन्स, पार्टी क्लोथ्स, गिफ्ट्सहरूसँग. Write the plot of the story. A devoted son in short भनेको चाहिँ devoted sonमा भएको प्लटहरु चाहिँ rising action, falling action गरेर तिमीले एक्सप्लेन गर्न पर्यो. The story A Devoted Son by Anita Desai is about the relationship between the father and his son. Rakesh, born in a poor family, works very hard and tops medical examination. His parents are extremely proud of him. Later he goes to USA for higher studies but returns to India and becomes a successful doctor. He takes great care of his aging parents and father after his mother's death. However, as a doctor, he becomes strict with his father's diet and date. The father feels controlled and deprived of small pleasures like sweet to Rakesh appears devoted and excessive medical discipline makes his father's final day uncomfortable. Okay, खास त फादरको लागि राकेशको लागि कम्फर्टेबल. The story shows the conflict between professional duty and emotional understanding. A respectable woman को नि मैले छुटाएको छु. I'm so sorry बिच बिचमा तिमीलाई अर्को लेसनको रिभिजन बस्नु हुन्छ नि त के हुँदैन है. Before she reached the house, Governor had lighted a fresh cigar and ended the apostrophe to the night. Oh, does this expression indicate a possible conflict that went in a governor's mind? Explain your view. Yes, no चाहिँ सुरुमा लेख्न पर्छ. Very important. Good. This expression does indicate a possible conflict in Governal's mind. After Mrs. Baroda leaves, Governal lights a fresh cigar and speaks to the night, which suggests that he is thoughtful and emotionally affected by the incident. Although he prefers silent and reserved throughout the story, the moment shows that he may have sensed Mr. Baroda's inner struggle or unspoken feelings. His apostrophe to the night reflects an inner response rather than open expression, indicating a subtle emotional conflict with him. However, like Mr. Baroda, he controls his emotion and maintains his calm and dignified behavior. So, obviously, Treasure in the Forest war. So, the story begins with two men, Evan, Hooker. So, तिमीहरूलाई के थाहा हुन पर्यो भन्दाखेरि यहाँ तीनटा क्यारेक्टर छ, इभन्स, हुकर अनि चाङली. वाउ, हेर त यो स्टोरी मिस्टेरियस भएको कारण डगहरू पनि बाग गरिरह. Standard British Westeros. Heading to a camp towards Quarter Island in the heat of the noon sun after having paddled all night from the mainland. Hooker is studying a map which the narrator reveals they have stolen from a Chinaman named Sahin, whom they murdered during their trip. So यिनीहरूले चाहिँ चाङहीलाई चाहिँ मर्डर गरिरहेछ चोराइ गर्ने बेला ट्रिप भन्यो मैले सरी थेफ्ट. Changi had by chance discovered the treasure left behind by a shipwrecked Hayes Berlin and had decided to rebury it somewhere else at the location revealed by the map. One aspect of the map puzzles Ivan and Hooker. Through part of it is covered little grasses pointing in the every direction. Ivan and Hooker identify the spot indicated on the map. After bleaching their canoe, they strike into the interior of island through the forest. They soon discovered identifying piles of stone, just as the map says, but alongside it lies the purple and solemn body of Chinaman who had identity himself looking for the treasure. As they can see some exposed yellow parts of gold in the hole he had been digging. The man assumed the Chinaman to have been the one Zhang Yi's associated, who had buried and tried to claim treasure for himself. Ivan starts to pick up the gold in courts to take them back to the canoe, but as soon as he does, he feels a strong pick. The two men loaded as much as gold as they could to bring them back in the boat, Ivan stacked it and set off. But after about 100 years, Ivan's arms start to age. He slowly becomes sweaty and he begins to convulse Hooker in rearranging. He engulfs the jacket after Ivan's collapse himself. Philip's stone twig at the last realizes the meaning of the little dashes on the map. Zhang Yi had protected his treasure with thrones similar to the explosion used in the browsing tubes. The story ends Hooker's lie dyingly alongside the still quivering body of his companion. यो स्टोरीमा तिमीले मेन थिम बुझ्न परेको भनेको चाहिँ लोभले लाभ गर्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ तिमीले बुझ्न पर्यो ग्रिडको कुरा. अब हामी अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ द टेक्स्ट पढ्छौँ. अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ टेक्स्टले चाहिँ तिमीले स्टोरी भनेको एकदम क्लियरली बुझ्छौ के, र यो 2 मार्क्सको लागि एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ. डिस्क्राइब द एक्सप्लोरेटरी सिन अफ द स्टोरी. यो भनेको चाहिँ स्टोरीको फर्स्ट सिन डिस्क्राइब गर्ने हो कि. स्टोरी ओपन्स विथ 2 treasure hunter, Evans and Hooker, in the canoe, approaching the land. The thicker and deeper green forest, slopy hill with a little river flowing to the sea. What does the map look like and how does Ivan and Hooker interpret it? The map looks like a very old rough map, which by folding it was creased, unclear, worn to the pitch of suppression. Ivan interprets twisting line in the map as river and star as in place, where Hooker interprets the dotted line and straight line the way to the lagoon in the map. So map चाहिँ एकदम पुरानो च्यात्तिएको फाटेको टाइपको हुन्छ के. अनि इभानले चाहिँ त्यो ट्विस्टिङ लाइन हुन्छ नि म्यापमा कुचेको भागलाई चाहिँ रिभर सोध्छ, अनि स्टार्सलाई चाहिँ प्लेसको हिसाबले राख्छ कि. अनि हुकरले फेरि त्यो डटेड लाइन अनि स्ट्रेट लाइनको इन्टरप्रिटेसन गर्छ and the way to lagoon in the map. How did Ivan and Hooker know about the treasure? यिनीहरूले चाहिँ चाइनाको त्यो चाङहीलाई मारेपछि थाहा पाएको हो नि त कन्भर्सेसन होइन. Changi and Hooker knew about the treasure by hearing the Chinese man conversation and the map he had. Describe Ivan's dream. During the journey, Ivan began to dodge and saw a dream. He had a dream about the treasure and Zhang Yi. In the dream, they were in the forest and saw a little fire where 3 Chinamen sat around it and talked in quiet voices in English. Ivan went closer and knew that Zhang Yi took the gold from the Hesh balloon after shipwrecked and hid it carefully on the island. He worked alone and it was his secret, but now he wanted help to get the gold back. There was a battle between Zhang Hai and was brutally killed by them. He thought that the scene was calling him, so he suddenly woke up. What do 2 treasure hunters see when they walk towards the island? So Ivan and Hooker ले island जाँदाखेरि के देख्यो रे? They saw 3 palm leaves, thick bushes and dim white flowers at the mouth of the stream. When they walked towards the island, they also saw the dead body of Chinese man Zhang Yi, which makes both of them surprised. In what condition did the treasure hunter find the dead man? When Ivan and Hooker reached the place where the treasure was buried, they saw the dead man lying in the clear space among the leaf with a plucked and purple neck and swollen hands and ankle. So चाइनाम्यानलाई चाहिँ तिनीहरूले कस्तो कन्डिसनमा डेट देखे त नि, त्यसलाई एउटा क्लियर स्पेसमा पफ्ड अनि पर्पल नेक के कसैले लाइक बिग खाएर मारेको जसरी हात पनि फुलेको एङ्कल पनि फुलेको हालतमा देख्छन्.
How did the treasure hunters try to carry quote in quotes to the canoe? The treasure hunters tried to carry the quote in quotes to the canoe with the help of the quote, which at the end of the collar, watching the hand of the Wooker, another collar by Ivan. How were Ivan and Wooker poisoned? Ivan and Wooker were poisoned as the slender thin trunk, nearly of 2 inches length, pricked in Hooker's thumb. Ivan rolled over him. Both of them crumbled together on the ground, which made them suffer a lot. How do you know the story is set on the tropical island? The story Treasure in the Forest has been set on tropical islands. It begins with 2 men, Ivan and Hooker, heading to the canoe towards a coral island in the heat of the sun. Its atmosphere, naturally variable ecosystem, thicker green forest, freshwater lakes and streams, salt marshes and mud flats, wetland, mangrove and coastal forests, fringing and offshore color leaves, and deep sea represents the story set on tropical island. Tropical island को जस्तै muddy हुन्छ, water, fresh water हुन्छ, green forest हुन्छ, stream हुन्छ. त्यही भएर चाहिँ यो ट्रपिकल आइल्यान्डमा सुट भएको भनेर भन्न सक्छौँ हामीले. Why do you think Ivan and Hooker took such a risk of finding the buried treasure on the desert island? I think Ivan and Hooker took such a risk by finding the buried treasure on the desert island because of their greed for wealth. They took it as a challenge and the risk as reward. They were also attracted by the fact it was the treasure left behind the shipwrecked his pain, which may cost millions of dollars. They became crazy about the treasure and took such a risk of finding the buried treasure on the desert island. Do you think the narrator of the story is racist? It asks. What made him feel superior to other races? Yes, I find some sort of racist feeling in the narrator of the story, and when he presents Ivan and Hooker as superior to the one of the Chinese man in the story. अब हेर्नु है, यसले चाहिँ चाइनिज म्यान भन्दा चाहिँ इभन एन्ड हुकरलाई सुपेरियर देखाइरहेको के नेरेटरले, त्यही भएर यस ही इज समहाउ रेसिस्ट. In fact, a racist is a person who is prejudice of or antagonist towards people based on the member of a particular racial or ethical group. Typically, that is minority or marginalized. Sorry. In the story, we find Chinese man brutally killed by Ivan and Hooker. When Hooker said to Ivan, "Have you lost your will?" it reflects dominating nature of Hooker over Ivan. Thus, many instances in the story state that the narrator of the story looks like a racist. What do you think is the moral of the story? The moral of the story is that people can do anything for money. They can take any kind of risks for it. As in the story, Ivan and Hooker killed a Chinese man brutally to get their way to the treasure buried in the desert. People can even take lives of others. It is the greed that is disordered desire for more than it is decent, not for greater good, but for one's selfish interest at the end of the detriment of others, the society at large. Greed can be anything, but it is most commonly for money, treasure, and power, which is more at the end of the story. Ivan and Hooker both are poisoned. This story shows greediness leads to destruction, so we should not be behind money and treasure. Rather, we should focus on dreams and being happy with the things we have. Reference behind the text say, interpret the story as model story. So, यो चाहिँ मैले तिमीलाई reference between the text खासै important हुन्न भने पनि यो चाहिँ मलाई हल्का important नै लाग्यो. The story Treasure in the Forest is full of mystery. The story has fine description of its mysterious setting and character. It has fine plot with various twists and character situation. It is hard for the reader to predict what is going to happen next. The story is about treasure hunter Ivan and Hooker who seek to find hidden treasure in the forest left behind by the shipwrecked Gillis Halon. Some mysterious events are Hooker murdered Chang Hei and a Chinese man to steal the treasure map. Chang Hei grins at them when he gets murdered. They traveled by the canoe sailing towards the Carol Island. However, neither of them understand the intention behind it. The fearful surrounding of the forest and the final painful death of the character who create such a suspense among the readers. The poisonous thrones appear to be the main cause of the death of the characters. All these things prove that the story is a mysterious story. सुरुमै त्यो म्यापदेखि सबै कुरा यो स्टोरीमा मिस्ट्री छ के हुन्छ एउटा पछि कसैले प्रेडिक्ट नै गर्न सक्दैन इभन केपमा गएपछि अचानकले मिस्टेरियसली डेथ हुन्छ द स्टोरी स्टार्ट्स विथ मिस्ट्री एन्ड एन्ड्स विथ मिस्ट्री एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट क्वेसनहरू डिस्कस गर्छौँ अब हामी चाहिँ हाउ डिड इभान एन्ड हुकर नो अबाउट द डेजर्ट इभान एन्ड हुकर नो अबाउट द डेजर्ट बाई हियरिङ द चाइनिज म्यान कन्भर्सेसन अबाउट द म्याप ही ह्याड Where were Ivan and Hooker poisoned? Ivan and Hooker were poisoned as the slender thin thorn nearly up 2 inches length pricked in the Hooker's thumb and Ivan rolled over him, but both of them crumbled together and ground, which made them suffer a lot. Interpret treasure in the forest as mystery story. तिमीलाई मैले इम्पोर्टेन्ट भनेको क्वेसन चाहिँ रिपिट गरेको हुन्छु सो तिमीले यो पहिले पढे जस्तो लाग्यो भने 2 सेकेन्ड अगाडि तिमीले पढेको हो द ट्रेजर इन द फरेस्ट इज अ मिस्ट्री स्टोरी फिल्ड विथ सस्पेन्स एन्ड अनएक्सपेक्टेड ट्विस्ट इट फलोज 2 treasure hunter Ivan and Hooker searching for hidden treasure. A strange incident like Chang Hei smiling at the dead and the unclear journey to the island creates confusion. The dark forest and unknown dangers add fear. In the end, their mysterious state by poisonous thorns make the story unpredictable and deeply mysterious for the readers. Describe the scene after Hooker found that he was pricked by 2-inch long slender thorn. Ivan and Hooker were poisoned by a slender thorn nearly of 2 inches pricked in Hooker's thumb and Ivan rolled over him. Both of them crumbled together on the ground, which made them suffer a lot. यो एकदम important question हो repeat भइरह. So basically, treasure in the forest as he was लेखेको यसमा main character Ivan Hooker र चाङ्गी थियो अनि main message भनेकै greed and consequence हो. The story emphasized the perilous consequence of greed, illustrating how the destructive pursuit of wealth can lead to fatal outcomes. अब चाहिँ हामी My Old Home पढ्छौँ लुसियनको राइटरको नाम नि लुसियन मेन क्यारेक्टरको नाम नि लुसियन सो इट विल बी इजी मेसेज थिम भनेको चाहिँ यो स्टोरीको द की थिम इन द conflict between one memory and the ideas of past versus the harsh realities of present. It depicts the writer's disillusionment upon the returning of his old hometown after years to find out it ruined stays contrary to his nostalgic recollections from childhood. अब चाहिँ सुरुमा म तिमीहरूलाई यो स्टोरीको समरी भन्छु यो स्टोरीको समरी चाहिँ थोरै लामो छ त्यही पनि ध्यान दिनुपर्छ किनकि दिस इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट वान लुसुन्समा चाहिँ तिमीहरूले सम्झिन पर्ने क्यारेक्टरहरू भनेको चाहिँ लुसुन्सको मदर लुसुन आफै भइहाल्यो मेन क्यारेक्टर अब न्युफ्यू सम्झिन मन लागेको हुन्छ रुन्टुस फादर रुन्टु सेङ्से अनि त्यो पछि रुन्टुको फ्रेन्ड ओके लुसुन Lucian's My Old Home tells the story of one's memory from youth to old age, and the confrontation of delusions created one memory's silent realities, with the protagonist Lucian's persona being away from home for so many years. Images of glamour, beauty, and respectability flamed his childhood, deleting his memories upon the arriving of long past home. His memory are formed to overcome to terms with change, harsh truth by shattering his prior conceptions and understanding of the world. Ah, surely this isn't the old home I had remembered for past 20 years. The narrator declared as he stood in front of the old broken down home, having been worn down by the weather and inhabitants alike. The house's old precise splendor was invisible to the eye, only to be seen in the front of the mind. Rationalizing the discrepancy between the memory and that had been standing before him, he tried to convince himself that the home that has been always like this, although it had not been improved, it was not so depressing as imagined. It had not improved, but it was not so depressing as imagined. It was only his mood that had changed because he was coming back to the country without illusions. Despite his rationalization, it was clear that his memory had deceived him, being transferred his old past home into a grand building it never been, only to be thrown down for the revolution along with his other assumed childhood memories that had been built in this magnificent illusions. After recovering from the shock of seeing his old home, he was informed that his old friend Runtu would be returning to visit him. After 30 years has passed since the narrator had last seen his friend Runtu, at first memories were scared. After pausing for a moment, a strange picture suddenly flashed into his mind. Stories ripe from passing of time filled with narrator's mind. He was full form of freshly details he recalled from the glory of his friend Runtu's seaside childhood. Oh, how he wished to be Runtu's. His story were like candy, appealing to a child idealized in every way, safe and formed. The narrator could no longer wait to reacquaint himself with Runtu. He wanted to more of the seaside glamour upon his long-awaited arrival. The narrator was frustrated from the anticipation. Runtu stood there, mixed joy and sadness showing on his face. His lip moved, but not a sound or uttered. Finally, assuming a respectful attitude, he clearly said, "Master, the narrator's memory had deceived him once again. Had Runtu not been his friend, had they not played together, shared story with one another? As a child, narrator was unable to understand class division. He clearly remembered his childhood naivety. At his time, Runtu was that mutual friendship. His memory grew until they reached the appropriate standards. Their friendship had been perfect, he believed. The narrator's childhood was shattered. His house, not as it imagined, Runtu not even equal living glorified seaside life. Memories had deceived the narrator, blurring truth, ignoring class boundaries, forgetting the power money possessed. How a divine could form between him and Runtu. Memories and truth was unfathomable to the narrator. The true fickleness of one's mind and one's memory of one's past became apparent. One cannot trust one's recollections of past. The mind changes the past, glorifies it in order to glorify the individual. By seeing himself to equal, the narrator was able to separate himself from the wrong associated with the class difference. Having him face the truth face to face means having to face poverty within China. His memory had provided a means of protection, a way of detaching himself from the inequality of Chinese society produced only by converting his memory. By discovering the truth behind the memories, he was able to see the realities of China. Spell Y, okay? Understanding the text, answer the following questions. How does narrator describe feeling of arrival of his old home? At the arrival, the narrator perceives the mixed and blended emotions as he felt pleasure and happiness. In his childhood, his hometown was lovely, where green sky lies above, but now he saw that everything has changed. The green sky changed into vast graying sky. They were gloomy, deserted, devoid of any deception of life. There was no sign of development in his hometown. The condition of his home was extremely bad. His childhood deceived him and made him nostalgic. अराइभलमा narratorले चाहिँ नराम्रो फिल गर्छ कि मिक्स इमोसन्स हुन्छ कि उसले प्लेजर अनि ह्याप्पिनेस फिल गरेको हुन्छ, तर चाइल्डहुडमा चाहिँ उसको होम टाउन लभली हुन्छ कि स्काई ब्लू हुन्छ र ग्राउन्ड ग्रीन हुन्छ, तर अहिले स्काई ग्रे हुन्छ, डेजर्ट हुन्छ, डिभोइडेड एनी डेभलप्सन अफ लाइफ. त्यहाँ डेभलपमेन्ट नै केही भएको हुँदैन होम टाउनभरि. सो द कन्डिसन अफ हिज होम टाउन वाज एक्सट्रिमली ब्याड. उसको मेमोरिजले उसलाई डिसाइड गरेको हुन्छ, नोस्टाल्जिक बनाएको हुन्छ. नोस्टाल्जिक भनेको चाहिँ पुरानो कुरा सम्झिनु. What are the three kinds of servants in China back then? What does it indicate about contemporary Chinese society? Daily, year-long र busy months तीन टाइपको सर्भेन्ट हुन्छ चाइनामा. There are three kinds of servant in Chinese society: daily, year-long, and busy months. First are the day worker who work for the day and for some time only, sometimes known as short timers. Year-long are the people who work fully for the same family for a year or more. Finally, busy months are the landowner who only work for one family at a time, such as around New Year's festival or was rent due to pay. The servant in the contemporary Chinese society have closed eyes and slowly sinking sun. शङ्कर लामिछाने यो चाहिँ एउटा मात्र स्टोरी हो नेपाली राइटर लेखेको हाम्रो बुकमा. Ignore the dog sounding in the barking in the background. Message or theme of the story भनेको चाहिँ the theme revolves around the contrast between the idealized view of foreign land seen through the tourist and one nuanced, often harsher realities by the inhabitants. Understanding the text बाट सुरु गर्छौँ हामी. How does the tourist describe his initial expression of the Kathmandu Valley? The tourist describes the initial expression of the Kathmandu Valley through the words of appreciation of natural sceneries, landscape, fragrance of the soil, and clay-made home painted in red, yellow, white. He feels the air filled with serenity of the mountain and is fascinated by the view of valley. टुरिस्टलाई चाहिँ आउने बित्तिकै काठमाडौँ एकदम मनपर्छ. त्यसको नेचुरल ल्यान्डस्केप, त्यसको बाँसमा माटोको हाउस पनि क्लेले बनेको, येल्लो रेडमा पेन्ट भएको. He is fascinated by the view of the valley. According to the tourist, why is the West indebted to the East? The tourists insist that West is indebted to the East because the West has provided different civilization to East has different civilization through Purans, past figure and ivory decoration, in addition manuscript of palm leaves, copper plate inscription, ornaments of the West have different value and fascinates the West. The atmosphere, culture, religious harmony is also what West is indebted to the East. How does tourists interpret the gaze of monks and nuns? The tourists interpret the gaze of monks and nuns as the holy side. They take it as a uncontaminated, free from all impurities and description. Do you think tourists think Nepali are wonderful and exceptional? Tourists think Nepali are wonderful and exceptional because of their coexistence life and peaceful nature. Also eyes and a smile. What are the different kinds of communities in the Kathmandu Valley? How did they coexist with each other? Aryans, not Aryans, Hindu, Buddhist are the various kinds of communities in the Kathmandu Valley. They coexist with each other due to the effect of Nepali soil that allows them to grow together and live together with harmony and peace. What does tourists feel about the temple of Adinath? When he saw the temple from Kovar Hills, he feels living example of Nepali story. Nepalis stand out with the example of harmony because of coexistence and variety of gods, reasons, and philosophies. Why does the guide take the tourist to remote village? The guide takes the tourist to remote village to find harsh reality of people living behind the scenario. He wants to see her property and sympathetic events of beautiful country, which was never talked in any novels or book, nor seen by the tourists, and neither captured by the cameras. What does the innocent village couple think of the doctor? The innocent village couple accepts her as the eldest son who has brought life restoring treatment across 7 seas for his father. What are the difference between paralyzed sight and his sister? The difference between paralyzed sight and his sister are mentioned below. Paralyzed child is very sick and his whole body is useless. He cannot move his hand, chew his food, even split. His body is not in the situation of hearing commands from his brain. The thing is that he indicates himself alive in his eye. Meanwhile, his sister is quite fine, hollow, whose body functions work properly. She calls around, picking up everything. She comes, putting it into her mouth, knocking over, bearing, turning and cooking stop. Why does the guide show instant property to the tourist? The guide shows instant properties of tourists to make her understand the harsh realities by offering glimpse of effect into diverse aspects of Nepalese life. Which narrative technique is used by the author to tell the story? How is it different from other stories you have heard? The narrator uses the stream of consequence technique where the thoughts and inner monologue of the character are presented without conventional plot structure. The story does not focus on external events or action but delves into the character's thought and perception. The author brings historical and legendary reference in the story, collects some reference and so their significance. Some of the historical and legendary reference bring by the author are Swayambhunath Chobar, Kasmadam, historical and religious landmarks symbolizing Nepal's heritage and spiritual significance. Mussoorie, Samyak Gaze, Adinath, Om Mani Padme Hum reference to Buddha's mythology, religious practice and philosophical concepts significant in Nepali culture. Gautam Buddha's eye, the land, Nepal as land of peace and hope. How is author able to integrate two fragments of narration into a unified whole? Pattern narratives, running the guide and foreigner's mind simultaneously. Thermic connections, linking cultural difference east or west to share narrative traits. Stream of consequences technique, the story aligns the internal thought of guide and foreigner through internal monologue. The author talks about eyes in many places, explain the significance of eyes in the story. Eyes of 7 monks, nuns, windows, manners, Himalayans, Buddha symbolize perception, wisdom, spiritual depth, and natural beauty inherited in Nepal's culture. Half-closed eyes of Buddha represents calmness, prosperity, peace, serenity. Palace voice represent never give up attitude. Villagers' eyes represent warmth, hospitality. All the instances contribute to the overall unity of the story, that is cultural diversity, perception, and complexities of life. What is the reference of giving reference to the paralyzed child near Swayambhu, close to the statue of half-closed eyes of Buddha? What does Lamisani try to indicate here? यो चाहिँ ओल्ड स्कुलमा भएको क्वेसन हो. इन द essay, Lamisani refers past questions-हरु है. In the essay, Lamisani refers to paralyzed child near Swayambhu, close to the statue of Buddha, with half-closed eyes to highlight a deep contrast between spiritual peace and real life suffering. Spiritual peace र real life suffering को contrast देखाउनलाई चाहिँ उनले paralyzed child को use गरेका हुन्. Buddha's half-closed eyes represent peace, calmness, and detachment from worldly pain. In contrast, paralyzed child lying in misery shows the harsh reality and painful reality of human life. By placing these two images side by side, Lamisani tries to indicate that while spiritual teaching talk about inner peace, physical world is still suffering that often goes unnoticed or ignored. He questions the meaning of spirituality in the world where basic human suffering is left unaddressed. It's a powerful reminder that compassion in action is just as important as spiritual calmness. Why do tourists think Nepali people are wonderful and exceptional? The tourists think Nepali people are wonderful and exceptional because of their eyes and smile, coexistence, life, and peaceful nature. According to tourists, why is West indebted to the East? The half-closed eyes of Buddha and Suri singing song. यो पनि past your question. Tourists insist that the West is indebted to the East because West has provided different civilizations through Purans, past speakers, and ivory decoration. Purans, past speaker, and ivory decoration. In addition, the manuscript plant leaves भनेको चाहिँ त्यो कप पूजा पाठमा लेखेको हुन्छ नि प्लान्ट स्लिपमा त्यो cup inscriptions and ornaments of the West have different value and fascinates the West. The atmosphere, cultural religions, harmony is what West is indebted to. So, mainly Punan's past speaker and ivory decorations. In addition, manuscript, copper plates, and harmony piece to bhayalyo. In the story, ethnic and religious coexistence of different communities in Nepal, it talks about where Buddhists and Hindus and non-Aryans have lived in communal harmony for ages. In your view, have Nepali people been able to live in such harmony? Half closed eyes of Buddha and slowly sinking sun. In half closed eyes of Buddha and slowly sinking sun, Nepal is shown as a model of harmony where different communities live peacefully together. This harmony is possible because of mutual respect, tolerance, shared culture, values among people. Hindus and Buddhists often follow similar practice and even worship in the same place, which strengthens unity. People participate in each other's festival, tradition, creating a false sense of security. Spiritual values like peace, compassion, coexistence, guidance their way of life. Moreover, Nepali people prioritize community over individual differences. Despite diversity in religion, ethnicity, they see themselves as a part of cultural identity. Deep-rooted understanding and acceptance help maintain lasting harmony in Nepal. Do you think tourists know better about Nepal than the Nepali guide? White. Half closed eyes and slowly sinking sun. No, the tourists don't know better than the guide. The tourist says that he's had learned Nepal in Western libraries and talks about Buddhist monastery at Chobarar and old stories of Buddha. But the guide takes him to an old farmer house and shows a child paralyzed by polio who can't move or speak and is alive only through his eyes. The guide noticed the parent's hopeful smile. The real scene shows deeper knowledge than any book can. A very old man with enormous wings. एउटा बुढो मान्छे जसको ठुल्ठुलो पखेटा थियो कसले लेखेको भन्दाखेरि ग्याब्रियल गार्सिया मार्केसले समरी भन्दा चाहिँ Paleo and Alexander find an old man with wings in their courtyard during a rainy period while disposing dead crabs that they believe made their baby sick. A neighbor suggests that the man is Angel who came for the child but was knocked down by the rain. They imprison the old man in his chicken coop where the townspeople come to see him thinking he is an angel. Paleo and Alexanderले चाहिँ आफ्नो बच्चा चाहिँ त्यो डेड क्राब्सले गर्दा बिराम भएको भनेर त्यो सधैँ सफा गरेको हुन्छ कि अनि त्यति बेला चाहिँ तिनीहरूले एउटा बुढो मान्छे भेटाउँछ जुन नेलले नकडाउन भएको हुन्छ अनि तिनीहरूको नेबरले चाहिँ तिम्रो बच्चा बुढो भयो भन्न आएको बिराम भएर एन्जलले लिन आएको भन्छ त्यहाँदेखि तिनीहरू डराएर आफ्नो बच्चा लिएर नजाओस् भनेर चिकन कुपमा त्यसलाई तन्काइदिन्छ. The child recovers from fever and the couple starts charging admission to see the old man making a lot of money. साइड चाहिँ फिभरबाट नि रिकभर हुन्छ अनि जसले हेर्न आउँछ नि ओल्ड म्यानलाई त्योबाट पैसा लिने आइडिया हुन्छ. यो आइडिया चाहिँ एलिजान्डाको हुन्छ. अनि त्यो पछि सबलाई यो एन्जल हो कि को हो त यो ओल्ड म्यान भन्ने हुँदा अदर कन्सलले होइन यो ओल्ड म्यान एन्जल किनकि यसले ल्याटिन पनि बुझ्दैन भनेर आफूभन्दा हायर अथोरिटीलाई लेटर पठाएको हुन्छ. अनि पछि स्पाइडर वुमेन जो चाहिँ कार्निभलमा गएर स्पाइडर वुमेनमा चेन्ज भएको हुन्छ त्यसले अटेन्सन पाउँछ अनि हाम्रो ओल्ड म्यानले अटेन्सन पाउन छोडेपछि यिनीहरूलाई बर्डन जस्तो हुन्छ ओल्ड म्यान जसबाट तिनीहरूले पैसा कमाएर एउटा म्यान्सन बनाइसकेको हुन्छ. Eventually, Paleo and Alexander build a new house with the money earned with the spectacle. The old man regains his strength, begins to fly, eventually leaves, much to Alexander's relief. हेर जसले तिमीहरूलाई सुख दिएको हुन्छ त्यही जाँदा उसलाई आनन्द हुन्छ. Message or theme of the story भन्दा चाहिँ the story explores theme of human nature in response to the unfamiliar or miraculous, highlighting both curiosity and cruelty. यहाँ चाहिँ ह्युमनको डार्क साइड देखाउन खोजेको छ. ह्युमनको रेस्पोन्स टुवर्ड्स विक डिफेन्डेड अनडिफेन्ड देखाउन खोजेको छ. ह्युमन भनेको ग्रिडी क्रुअल र क्युरियोसिटी भएको क्रिएचर हो भन्ने देखाउन खोजेको छ. डिस्क्राइब द इरिटेटिङ थिङ्स द्याट पिपल डु विथ द स्ट्रेन्ज ओल्ड म्यान. यो चाहिँ पास्ट क्वेसनहरू डिस्कस गर्छौँ हामी पहिला. द ओल्ड म्यान वाज डिस्टर्ब बाई द पिपल. People gather at Paleo's house did some inhuman and teasing tasks with the strange old man. Such as irritating things include throwing stones at the old man, burying his side with iron rod which made him injured. He was not capable of moving. He laid there like a dead man for an hour and woke up full of tears. People pulled his feather too. उसलाई चाहिँ तातो रडले पोल्दिने ताकि छलफल गरोस् आफ्नो इन्टरटेनमेन्टको लागि ऊ इन्जोर्ड भएर 1 आवरसम्म डेटमा जसरी लेट हुँदा पनि बस्दैन भने हाफ एन आवर भनेको कम टाइम हो पिपुलले अनि फेदर पनि पक हान्दिने कि Describe the old man as Perillus and wife noticed in the earth. When Perillus and his wife first encountered the strange old man, he was dressed in a manner of rag picker. He had bald head and looked almost shaved. His mouth was almost empty, with no sand teeth remaining. His large and dirty buzzard wings were half locked and entangled in mud. How does the narrator describe the weather and its effect in this position of the story? The narrator set up the picture of the rainy day to describe the weather and its effect in this position of the story. The rains fall continuously for 3 days, making the land and houses filled with water. During the rain season, the sky and the sea changed into ash grey color, and the sand shore gleams like powder light, which had become the hearts of mud and rotten shellfish. The light sparkled was so weak and hard to see. Demonstrates the slavery system and the tendency of dividing work based on status. The work used to be allocated. What makes narrators nostalgic? What did he do with Runtu in his teenage years? With the words of his mother to meet his childhood friend Runtu, the narrator becomes nostalgic. When he was a teenager, he and Runtu used to catch the bird with a trick and also kill the jar by stabbing it. And they used to collect seashells, red, blues, ghost scares. They also went to look out for forgers and profane. How did Runtu hunt the jar at the young age? जा भनेको चाहिँ त्यो वाटरमेलन खानेहरू त्यसलाई चाहिँ युन्ट्रीले यङ एजमै हन्ट गर्थ्यो अनि त्यही गर्दा तिनीहरूको बोन्डिङ पनि भएको हो Runtu hunted a jar by attacking with a pointed knife suddenly while he was standing to watch over watermelons at a young age. How does the narrator make a humorous picture of Mrs. Young? Mrs. Youngलाई चाहिँ bean-cart beauty भनेर describe गरेछ स्टोरीमा. The narrator narrates this appearance of Young with narrow cheekbones, leaf. She used to powder her face, portray her face as two compasses in a geometry box as he sees her and express her in a humorous picture. The narrator has described the image of Mrs. Hong. She has associated Young with bean-cart beauty. Card बनाएछ. According to the narrator, what are the different factors that made Runtu the poor man throughout his life? Here is the important question. The narrator expresses Runtu as a poor man throughout his life. There are many factors behind poverty of Runtu. Different obligation and social division play an important role behind his poverty. Alongside, he suffered from lack of opportunity, feeble economic background, and discrimination he faced in his prime time is a reasonable factor. Besides it, bad harvest, too many children, harsh taxes, gender folks, and other factors behind poverty of Runtu. How does narrator help Runtu before leaving the old house? The narrator helps Runtu before leaving the old house by offering different household items. Since they were leaving, Runtu was financially poor. The narrator thought he could make his life a bit easier if he gave him 2 large tables, a few candlesticks, a incense burner, and a set of scales. Add गरे सबै agriculture सम्बन्धी काम छ. 2 large table, a few candle, incense burner, set of scales. 2 large table, incense burner, a few candles, set of scales. 2 large table, incense burner, few candles, set of scales. 2 large tables, few candles. 2 large table, few candles, and incense burner, a set of scales. 2 large table, few candle, incense burner, set of scales. यो चाहिँ मैले रिपिट गरेको है तिमीलाई याद होस् भनेर. How does narrator differentiate the kinds of idols? Superstitious idols and hope are mentioned in the idols of the story. He distinguishes between these two idols in sense of time and belief, stating that people worship superstitious idols for short term because they want something immediately. While hope is shown as the long-term enduring empathy, people need it in most circumstances. Reference to context, the importance of IMAS ko lagi, so I want you to focus on this as well. While reading the friendship between Narita and Runtu, Hindi readers remember the friendship of Krishna and Sumada, which particular description reminds you of the mythological example. इसको तिमीलाई के याद आएन र एकदम आइहाल्यो भने इन केस कृष्णजी चाहिँ राजा हुनुहुन्थ्यो र सुदामा चाहिँ सानो वर्गको मानिस थियो र narrator पनि धनी र Runtu पनि गरिब वर्गको छ त्यही सम्झेर तिमीले आन्सर दिन सक्छौ. The friendship between Runtu and Sun reminds the story of friendship between Krishna and Sudama to the Hindi readers. The friendship between Krishna and Sudama is described in Mahabharata epic. The friendship does not cost anything, but good heart is shown in the Mahabharata epic, showing a true friendship between Krishna and Sudama, same as the old home, also resembles the moral and the story of true friendship. There are many similarities between the friendship of Sun and Runtu as Krishna and Sudama. The mythological example include the story shows that Sun is a rich person and Runtu as a poor man's person. कस्तो मुख स्पेल भएको धेरै बोलेर होला एकैचोटि. Which resembles the Mahabharata where Krishna was the king and rich person was that Sudama was a poor Brahmin. Sun's friend Runtu is suffering from poverty, same as Krishna's friend Sudama. Runtu is not able to fulfill the basic needs of his family like Sudama. In this story, Sudama makes Krishna he feels the same side by thinking he is poor, and in front of Krishna his standards are not even like servant. The same incident is narrated in this story too. Runtu is feeling shy and ashamed to meet Sun, thinking that Sun is happy and rich. Another similarity of incident is when Sudama meets Krishna. Krishna welcomes him greatly with love for him. Krishna helps Sudama by changing his heart to a pathetic mansion where every facility was available to live a happy life. Similarly, Sun welcomes Runtu with happy heart and gives him household goods and helps him make his life better. By both of the stories, we learned that friendship isn't about wealth, status, fame, or anything. True friendship is conducted with proper good heart and respect for each other. Wealth can never desperate true friendship. We should help our friends with their needs. How does this story support proposition that the relations of childhood are innocent, impartial, disinterested? The story My Whole Home supports the proposition that the story of the childhood are innocent, impartial, and disinterested. By showing the friendship between Sun and Runtu, we all get to know that children are natural, they are innocent, they don't know the meaning of life or death, hope or struggle, betrayal, or other social boundaries. They don't know if what is poor, what is rich, what is lower class, what is middle class, what is upper class. Children make friends in their childhood not for the sake of profit. Besides their friendship, the friendship is pure and never change. They are helpful and willing to do the same, but later social boundaries and difference makes them apart. When the desire is fulfilled, most of the friendship becomes stories. In the story, the friendship between Sun and Runtu is shown. Sun is portrayed as a rich person while Runtu is portrayed as a poor person. But where the friendship between them is stronger, as much when they were childhood friends, they used to play and enjoy themselves together. In the story, friendship between them is shown as a great gesture. When Runtu is suffering from poverty, this helps Sun help them by providing household goods such as long table, incense burner, to make their life a little easier. Therefore, the helping nature of Sun and their pure friendship in the example, the childhood relation remains innocent and impartial. After reading the story, what differences can you make about the contemporary Chinese society and social system? Economy was poor and agriculture dependent. Rural people lived with low income and hardship. Society had strict class division, rich versus poor. villager work as servant, year longer, short timer, etc. Social mobility was low, mixing between the classes was discouraged, overall system was unequal, restrictive and discriminatory. Geographical features of the narrator's hometown: earlier beautiful landscape, blue-green fields, garden, birds, sea with colorful sails. Later environmentally degraded, grey sky, tall surrounding, lifeless atmosphere shows the transition from natural beauty to decline over time. Also, my most important question one of the important question, what are the different kinds of servant in China back then? What does it indicate about contemporary Chinese society? तीनटा टाइपको सर्भेन्ट चाहिँ चाइनिज सोसाइटीमा हुन्छ, सर्ट टर्म लङ इयर लङ अनि बिजीमा हुन्छ। सर्ट टर्मले चाहिँ सर्ट टाइम पिरियड अफ टाइमको लागि वर्क गर्छ भने इयर लङले सेम फ्यामिलीमा इयरली अरू त्योभन्दा बढी काम गरेको हुन्छ। बिजीमा चाहिँ स्पेसल ओकेजनमा मात्र गरेको हुन्छ। जस्तै अर्को इम्पोर्टेन्ट क्वेसन भनेको according to narrator, what are the different factors that made Runtu a poor man throughout his life? So Runtuलाई चाहिँ poor man जसरी expose गरेको छ narratorले, and he has been applied by social divisions and obligations. He has suffered from lack of opportunities, feeble economic background, discrimination faced in his prime time is reasonable factor. Besides his poor harvest, too many children, harsh taxes, famine, century fogs, bandy soldiers are other factors that make Runtu poor man throughout his life. Evaluate the lesson learned from his latest visit to his old home. Lucian learns that memories are often create fake illusions that hide realities. His childhood memories had idealized his old home and friendship, with Runtu ignoring property and class differences. When he returns, he realizes social inequality has always existed, but his youthful mind failed to see it. This visit teaches him the nostalgia can't change reality, and true understanding comes by facing the harsh reality of society. के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि लुसियनले चाहिँ फल्स इल्युजन राखेको हुन्छ रियालिटीको बारेमा, तर जब ऊ आफ्नो ओल्ड होममा पुग्छ उसले प्रपर्टी अनि क्लास डिफरेन्सको बारेमा रियलाइज गर्छ। देन ओन्ली ही रियलाइजेस द्याट यो त पहिलेदेखि एक्जिस्ट गरेको थियो, उसको माइन्डले पो देख्न नसकेको नोस्टाल्जियाले रियालिटी चाहिँ चेन्ज गर्न सक्दैन नि। हार्स ट्रुथ अफ सोसाइटी चाहिँ उसले बल्ल फेस गर्छ। जस्टिफाई द स्टोरी his title, My Old Home. So my title, Old Home, is appropriate because the story focuses on narrator's return to his childhood home after many years. धेरै पछि ऊ आफ्नो घर फर्केको भएर स्टोरीको टाइटल ओल्ड होम राख्न चाहिँ एकदम ठीक कुरा हो के। He compares his beautiful childhood memory with harsh reality that he sees now. The visit makes him realize how property, time, and social differences have changed both place and people, especially his friend Runtu. Thus, the title reflects nostalgia, contrast between memory and reality, emotional connection with his past. उसले आफ्नो पुरानो होम भिजिट गरेर नोस्टाल्जिया पाएको, हार्श रियालिटीहरू थाहा पाएको, कन्ट्रास्ट बिट्विन मेमोरी एन्ड रियालिटी भएको कारणले यो टाइटल चाहिँ सन्दर्भिक छ।
In the text, answer the following questions. How does the narrator describe the weather and its effects in the exposition of the story? The narrator sets up the picture of a rainy day to describe the weather and its effect in the exposition of the story. The rain falls continuously for 3 days and makes the land and house filled with rainwater. During the rainy season, the sky and sea were changed into ash gray color, and the sand of shore glimmered like powder light, which had become harsh mud and rotten selfish. The light sparkle was so hard and weak to see. Describe the strange old man as Peril and his wife first encounter within their courtyard. The Peril and his wife first encountered the strange old man. They had noticed him dressed in a manner of rag figure. He had a bald head and looked completely shaved. His mouth was almost empty with no sense teeth remaining. His large dirty verged wings were half blocked and entangled in mud. Why did Pelalo and Alexander imprisoned the old man in chicken coop? Pelalo and Alexander imprisoned the old man in chicken coop, thinking that he's an angel and he was there to take their child. Why was Father Gonzalo not sure about the old man being a celestial messenger? The Father Gonzalo was not sure about the old man being celestial messenger because the old man did not know how to greet ministers. He did not know the language of God. He did not know Latin. Father noticed this when he said good morning in Latin. He just murmured something in his dialect, which father did not understand. Many people gathered at Peru's house to see a strange old man. Do you think the crowd assembled to see him? Many people gathered at Peru's house to see the old man because he was unique and strange with his bizarre wings. People thought of him as angel or messenger of God, and some thought of only making fun of him. Some miracles happened while the crowd gathered to see him. What are these miracles? In this story, as it is mentioned, some miracles happened in the crowd gathered to see the strange man. The miracles were the blind man who could not recover his eyes but grew 3 new teeth, parachute people who could not talk but won the lottery, and lifter who soared 4 distant forwards. Instead, the irritating things that the people did with the strange old man. The people gathered at Peru's house did some inhuman and teasing with the strange old man. Some irritating things include throwing stones at old man, burying his side with wrought iron, which made him injured. He was not capable of moving. He lay there like a dead man for half an hour. People pulled his feathers too. How and why has the human changed into spider? The reason behind the change of woman in spider is lightning. Without any permission, she went to dance, and when she was returning from the forest, a massive lightning strike shattered and the sky, and a blood of brimstone hit and covered her into spider. Describe how Alessandra saw a strange man flying over the houses. Alessandra saw the strange man flying over the house from her windows while she was chopping vegetables in the kitchen. While she was doing so, she felt a breeze and moved to the window to check it. Then she saw a little guy was trying to fly. After a while, she saw he succeeded to fly and vanished quickly. Reference to the context. The arrival of strange old man at the palace courtyard arouses many suspicions and explain how the neighbor's woman, Father Gonzago, and the doctors speak of the old man. Why do you think these 3 people gave 3 kinds of interpretations? The appearance of old man at the palace courtyard produces many suspicions and explanation. According to the neighbor woman, he was an angel who came for their child, but poor fellow is so old the rain knocked him down. When father said good morning in Latin, he muttered something in his mouth that his father could not understand. Father Gonzalo was not sure about the man being celestial messenger because the old man did not understand the language of God, nor he did know how to greet the minister. He looked too human. He had intolerable seams of outdoor and backside of his wings was sprinkled with parasite. There was nothing about him measured to the proud dignity of angels. So father told the viewer that the old man who has wings wasn't an angel, but the crowd didn't pay attention to Father Gonzaga. According to the doctor, the strange old man would not be alive for a long time. He found much whistling in the heart, so many sounds like in his kidney. It is seemed the body of an angel was complete as human organization, but he could not understand any other men did not have them to. In many opinion, these 3 people gave 3 different kinds of variation to strange old man because they were involved in different kinds of activities. They could see strange old man with their different view, and old woman believes in things like ghosts, angels, etc. Gonzaga was the first person to believe in God, interpreted everything with Bob proof, and doctor was the first person to see old strange man as his patients. The story belongs to the genre of magical realism, a genre perfected by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In his novels and his short story, magical realism is a narrative technique in which storyteller narrates the commonplace things with magical color and events look both magical and real at the same time. Call it 5 magic realists happening from the story and argue why they seem magical to you. The story of Very Old Man with Enormous Wings belongs to the genre of magical realism, a genre perfected by Gabriel Garcia Marquez in his novel. Following are the 5 realistic things happening in the story. At the beginning of the story, Paolo saw an old man lying face down in the mud in his garden who could not get up in spite of his tremendous efforts, which also had wings. The writer uses magical realism techniques through the world in numerous wings of the old man. This shows the old man belongs to another universe or world. Paolo and Elisanda tried to talk with the old strange man. He answered in unbelievable dialect with and strong voice. It shows example of magical link with the sense he was from another mysterious world. After hearing the old man, the woman called him an angel who came for their child, but the old man was so old that the rain knocked him down. The old angel is said justifies the magical link in the story. The modification of woman in spider for disobeying her parents by going out in the dance without permission to spider in her childhood. She had crept out without her parents' permission to go to dance while she was coming back from the dark forest. After having danced all night without permission, a massive thunderclap hit and took the crack of the lightning bolt of brimstone changed her into the spider. This also links the story into magical realism technique. By this story, the doctor failed to treat the old man. According to the doctor, the strange man could not be alive for a long time. He also found much whistling in the heart, so there was many sound in the kidney, and old man became weak and sick. His feather had fallen down, but quickly his feathers regrow again and fly in the sky. This also links the story to magical realism. The author introduced the episode of woman who became a spider for having disobeyed her parents. This episode at once shifts people concentration from strange old man to the spider woman. What do you think is the purpose of author to bring shift in the story? The author introduced the people of the woman who became spider for having discarded by women by going outside to dance without any permission. The sin of shifting of a woman into spider is somewhat breaking the attention of old man. I think author has brought this shift in the story to show example of magical realism. The intention of author was to show the greed of humans. In this beginning, Paolo and Elisanda take care of the old strange man when they benefits from him by charging 5 cents to see, but Spider Woman comes and people pay less to the angel and do not care about him. The old man tracks there and there. The house of old man collapses due to rain and sun, but they do not repair it. The story deals with common people's gullibility. How do Paolo and his wife take advantage of the common man's whim? The story Old Man with Enormous Wings deals with common people's gullibility. Paolo and his wife saw an old man with wings in their garden. When they wanted to talk with him, he answered in a imperceptible declared with a strong voice. They were unable to understand his language, so they called an old woman who was an witch. She also called the old woman an angel who come to take their child, but he so old that the rain knocked him down. Paolo pulled him out of the mud and locked him in the hens in the wire coop. A short time afterwards, the child woke up with fever with the desire to eat. They now felt like magic has happened, and they felt generous and decided to put the old man on the raft with fresh water and provisions for 3 days and leave him to his fate on high seas. But then they got up early in the morning, saw that they were amazed by seeing that the news of angels spread like fire. People don't even listen to Father Gonzaga's voice that he was not an angel. But his wife got an idea to charge 5 cents and mission to see the angel. They gather a lot of wealth from it and build a luxurious house for themselves.